Hi everyone. Today is November the 25th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. We are staring down markets that are still continuing to rise. I wanted to start with the weekly first so we could see what's actually happening in the charts. Still buy the dip. It is still going to be a buy the dip day. Whether or not we have a big dip or a little dip remains to be seen. Overnight inventory is quite long, and so they may try to correct that inventory in a fade into the day. It looks like there's a little bit of a fade starting right now, but that is simply inventory correction, so it may give us a great opportunity for buying. Let's go to the NQ weekly. Also, let's remove all the horizontal lines, and we can see that we can draw a line up here now. Wow. So it is by the dip. We're sitting in these two boxes. The top of the range, 21,527 for the measured move. That looks fairly good. A support action event, 21,770. I like that number a lot. 750 could actually come in, so you want to start watching it right around that space. Everyone is anticipating a Santa rally. Let's take these off. We'll draw new ones when we get to the hourly charts, but I just wanted to make sure that we have a good idea of the wide angle lens that is showing us upside. Now this is starting to look a little curvy linear, and so I do expect some kind of fade in the YM, but pullbacks are buy zones. Big number, 43,500. Not sure we're going to get that low, but dips are buys, and we do have the opportunities for dips. This is not a runaway train by any means. Let's take a look at Bitcoin next. Came right into that 100,000 and just could not do it. Now, this is curvy linear. What we want to do is draw a wave. I do expect a bit of a fade. Do I want to go short? Not really. What is that? A 2.618 extension off of this wave. And so here is the last real liquidity down here at 74,000. Value area high at 78. Let's watch for the pullbacks. If you want to short it, have at it. I think I'm just going to wait for the longs. However, 97,500 to 97,200 has been a good buy zone on the daily charts. Let's take a look at oil. Oil's in rollover. Should be a little sideways. Wow, take a look at how this weekly chart looks. Holy smokes. Buyers have got to defend here. If not, 54, and then Peter Brandt said something like 42. That's where a ton of liquidity is sitting. I don't know that it's going to get there. Oil needs to stay in the 40 to 50 area to make sure that the companies producing it are not going to have problems collecting revenue to make their businesses go. So I'm going to guess that if we fade, we'll hang on to a little bit of the area around 54. I don't see any ranges that I can use definitively, but when they come up, I will show them. Last thing we want to do is take a look at gold. And the dollar continues to be absolutely roaring. It's quite overbought, but that doesn't mean people will stop buying. When people stop buying, then it's definitively overbought. But what we do see is sort of a widening range here. We could start building another volume profile here. My thought is longer term, 2,400 to 2290 becomes the area that traders really start collecting this one again. All right, let's jump into our 1 hour charts. Oh, sorry. I always forget the SPY and Q, folks. All right, here we are, trend line up. This is this value that I was mentioning to you where I'm saying liquidity. We could have an inventory correction into the open because it's so very bullish here in the upside. Pullbacks are buy zones, and that number today looks like about 584, right? We'll see how that goes. Everybody's calling for the Santa Claus rally. Everyone's talking about S&P 6200. We'll see. Q's doing the same thing, big overnight move. A lot of them are they're very long. And I think we could have an inventory correction. We'll just see. But holiday weeks with thin volume have a tendency to rise, okay? So the flip side of everything we're looking at right now is that traders are going to be bullish. All right, let's start all over again. Just want to see those weekly formations. Here we are looking very sideways. We gapped up in the pre-market and have really held these areas. You know, looks like another bullish event here. However, this is the value area gap, and the gap fillers could come in, fill the gap, and go off to the races. That's 59.92. That's what I expect with the inventory correction, but we could easily have ourselves a breakaway, and that takes us up to 6,035. So that's the upside pressure event, downside pressure event, 592, well outside of the value area range, and we're back up over this motion. We'll put it right up here, right? Lots of room to the upside, lots of room. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. A lot of folks talking about nat gas being something to buy the dip, but I think it's a little early in the game. Take a look at the Qs. This box right here is the one holding that framework. And so we are at the top of that range. That's 29,945. A lot of people looking at that number. If it holds, we've got a range expansion event. First into 21,054. And then we're just going to clone this because it's worked so well. Sends us back up into old support and new resistance at 21,130-ish. Yeah, we'll see. 21,124. But bullish, folks. If this fades, we've got the value area high that's presenting as the support zone. That's 20,861. It could come down into our 20,760, 750-ish area that I mentioned when we were looking at the weekly charts. But this value area high could potentially be the target if we fill the gap in the pre-market. Sorry about that, allergies. All right, taking a look here. This is just literally one time framing up, right? Break away from this edge, continuing upside pressure in the Dow. You know, this one is just a beast, right? Absolute beast. If it fades, there are going to be a lot of traders at the base of the gap, which is 44,430-ish. I have it 1,000 points below. So not sure that we're going to be able to get that, but buying dips are going to come in at 44,400, 44,200. If you're looking for the dip and it loses this key area of 44,600, step away and let it fill in. If you're thinking about a short, you can run it into here. And of course, upside pressure events. Let's draw, I have a zero wave here because that hit an all-time high. Let's draw another Fibonacci. See what we get on the upside pressure event there. 1.5 is 45,422. A lot of us might say, you know, that's not a fib number. Okay, whatever. Divided in half, 45,000 looks like the next place they want to test. Everything is incredibly bullish. Bitcoin taking a breath, the 100 grand, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it moved so fast. But this 97,000 area, that's where I bought it on Friday. I bought it in the pre-market on Thursday, ran it up, took it off, bought it again on Friday, and then closed it at 99,600 or so. And now it's doing it again. Problem is that we have ourselves a little bit of a lower high. All right, not significant, but we are down inside of this box, which could give us a half-back event, and that's at 96,000, also near the low volume node. Okay, so this one taking a breath. This one's definitely taking a breath, for sure. What are we looking at? Oil. Dip buying, for sure. We've got another trend line to take a look at. We've got a lot of trend lines here, but the dip buying off of this ledge is much steeper, right? I still think 7150 is going to present as resistance in the near term. If it doesn't, 7280 is likely where we're going with stair steps at 72, 7235, 7270. Okay, so dips are buy zones. Where do they stop becoming buy zones for a deeper dip? If we hold 7050, going to go great. If we breach 7120, we've got 7150 as the next slot. But this is very messy. A lot of retracements, a lot of 100% retracements. And so we need to be very careful staying long at 7150 without having a tight stop underneath. Gold. I expect us to stall out here, right? I don't expect gold to run up into 2,700. That said, pullbacks into the point of control have brought buyers. So anywhere around 26.59, we're going to see some buying pressure. Absolutely, buying pressure. If that buying pressure does not hold, we'll be back down here at the ranged VWAP at 2640. That's what we're looking at. Dips or buys, but you don't want to hang on for brand new highs. I just don't see that at this particular juncture. This thing has moved up like a house of fire, and I would not be surprised to see a 50% retracement of this wave right here before we started moving again to the north. All right, SPY, pretty messy, but sitting right at edges that we know well, up into the 600 area. This is eventually going to break to the north, okay? It is bullish, but wait for the dip. 595.28 gives us this clean area. However, if it breaks out in the early part of the morning and does not come back, it could run all the way to 59.93. So 599.93, and then 598.80 will become your floor as support. I think we're going to have an inventory correction, and that ought to give you the better buying pressure event. So hang on to the britches. Don't quite go running off yet. Here we have sort of a savage dip right here that came, look, right into the old congestion. That's where you're going to find your best bets for buys in this kind of formation. The Qs are running up. 504.20 looks like the floor. They came in and hit 505.25. Then we've got the upshot really in the 512 if the buyers keep control of the market. And I'm not sure they will. But we are coming into the region of time where we got Black Friday. There's still a lot of stock buybacks. Everything's very bullish in the undercurrent. We just need to wait for dips to allow us the least risk. All right, that's it for me, folks. I'll see you on the streams. Take care. Sorry about my froggy voice.